Good morning, America. Today is September 26th, and welcome to the History Channel. We have a very special segment for you today.
Thank you, Francis. Yes, today in history marks the birthday of Louis Hine. Not many people know who this man is, but he shaped America to what it is today.
Louis Hine impacted the laws of labor by being an advocate for child labor. He used his talent in photography to create a new way to spread social reform.
Before his career as a photographer, Hine was a teacher of nature study and geography at the Ethical Culture School in New York. His mentor and friend, Frank Manny, was the superintendent of the school and appointed Hine as the school's photographer.
In 1908, Louis Hine quit his teaching job to become a full-time photographer. He began his work with the National Child Labor Committee in 1904. The people of the committee wanted Hine to be their photographer, photographing the practice of child labor to try and bring an end to it.
In August 1908, Hine landed a steady job. A national committee fighting child labor offered him $100 a month for photographs and investigative reporting. For the next 10 years, Hine would be part of the crusade against what many reformers saw as America's greatest shame. Initially, few had questioned the use of child labor in factory and mill, but the conviction had grown that a child's development could be thwarted and his potential wasted by confinement in factories under the relentless discipline of the machine, and the old practices came to seem not only inefficient, but barbaric.
As soon as the NCLC obtained government sanctions to investigate into those places that practiced child labor, Hine was hired. He was hired as an art director and was told to go to these places where children were employed and to take pictures of what he saw.
The thing that is so interesting about Hine and his work is that he was never allowed in these factories. The employers would not allow him to take pictures of the children. To secretly take the pictures, Hine would talk his way into the facilities by pretending to be a Bible salesperson or even an insurance agent. Allison Nordstrom is a curator at one of the foundations that shows all of Louis Hine's photos, and she said in an interview, "He measured the height of his buttons on his vest. He always wore a suit and tie to the ground so that he could ascertain the heights of these little children by measuring them against the buttons on his jacket. Obviously, the employers of these children were not too pleased with a muckraking journalist visiting these factories. In many cases, he would sneak his way in. He was a skilled amateur actor, and he would often pretend to be something other than what he was."
Child labor investigators had been harassed, jailed, run out of town. In the mills, Hine would find the children of landless sharecroppers and tenant farmers, people with no choice but to abandon a rural way of life that could no longer support them.
January 1909 to the National Child Labor Committee. The photographs I obtained in Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee will tell their own story to any fair mind. Augusta. Entrance to the mills extremely difficult. The man in charge refused absolutely to let me through, even as a visitor. So I waited, close outside the main door, concealed in the darkness of the woods. And at 6 p.m., I counted about 35 boys who appeared to be from 9 to 14 years of age. I stopped them and took them around the corner for a flash powder photo. Some of the smallest boys said they'd been working in the mill for several years.
The Library of Congress holds hundreds of Hine's photographs along with many others at the George Eastman House, which is the oldest museum in the world that is dedicated to photography.
Hine's photographs impacted child labor greatly. People all over America saw his photographs in magazines and newspapers and were forced to see what was going on behind closed doors in these factories. He created the term photo story, which we now know as a slideshow of photos. He presented these slideshows of the photos he took at lectures that the NCLC sent him to.
Hine really did change the world's view on child labor. Louis Hine passed away in 1840 at the age of 66. He may not have lived a very long life, but he sure did live a successful one. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for everyone who is out there watching. I'm Bella Reichman.
And I'm Frances Sudakin. Happy birthday, Louis Hine. Rest in peace.
Everyone have a great day.